Hey everybody, happy 4th of July. Welcome to Bales Farms for our holiday installment of Front Porch Conviviality. As you can tell, this is not the front porch, but you can see it from here. We're getting a little jump start on the holiday weekend and thought it might be fun to give you a little different perspective. So here we are. As always, I'm your host, Barry Bales, trying to stay in the camera shot. Also trying to stay in the camera shot is my much better half, Allison Bales. How's it going? Happy
Good.
4th.
Good. Happy almost 4th to you too.
Yeah. So, here we are, this rare moment of relaxation here at Bales Farms, right? And since it's hard to stay in the camera shot, we'll not spend too much time on it, but I am having a good American Budweiser for this American holiday here in the pond. Cold, refreshing. What are you having?
I'm having a Corona.
I don't know is that American?
Well, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get right to it.
Okay.
Well, what's been going on this week with you?
We are in the midst of summer activities.
Yep.
I'm starting to plan for school for the school year, and we are just having a little bit of a slowdown after the meat chickens. You are anyway, and that's one species that we're not having to take care of right now.
Yep.
So that's nice.
Yep.
What's been going on with you?
Well, just sort of maintaining. Then went to Arkansas this last weekend and did a show with my friend Janae Fleener in her hometown where they celebrated all her accomplishments, and we had a big time out there. Marshall and I went, little boys trip.
Yes.
Finally got my truck back.
Yay.
Wow.
Praise Jesus and Gateway.
Yep. Any of you diesel owners out there will know, particularly Ford owners, about those lovely sensors that are always going out. Well, I had a sensor go out. They went to change it. It broke off, so they were going to have to replace the entire exhaust system in my F-250. Well, Ford has them all on back order. There aren't any. So they had no idea when they were going to get my truck to me, which it's hard to farm without your F-250 with a gooseneck hitch. So we've been struggling along, even though the good folks at Gateway here in Greenville, our buddy Max, gave us a loaner F-150 that got us through. So anyway, got my truck back yesterday, and I am happy. I like my truck. It's not brand new, and it's not super top of the line, but I like it.
It's going on 10 years old now.
Yeah, it's 2012. But it does the job. So we've had a lot of good questions this week from viewers and friends and social media folks. The first question was asking about how we address watering our animals in a rotational setting. It's not easy at first. Well, I've kind of done it all. It used to be that I would haul water when we were grazing in fields that didn't have a permanent water source. I've got a 50-gallon drum with an electric pump on it on the back of the Ranger, and I would just haul water twice a day. And that's a real pain in the butt, particularly if you need to be gone, for any length of time. So, and it's worse in August. So I had an old utility trailer sitting around that I wasn't using, so I put one of these big square 250-gallon plastic totes on it and filled that up with water and hauled that out to the field and put a big watering trough out there with a float valve on it, and it would run the float valve. But even with that, even back when we were just running like 10 head of cattle, they'd go through that that would last them at most 2 days So every 2 days, you'd have to take the hose loose, hook back up to the trailer, bring it back to the barn, fill it up with water, repeat the process. So we finally just bit the bullet and made the investment. And this past spring, we put in a pretty involved watering system around the farm. We put in about 3,600 feet of water line and put in 8 quick connect couplers, which, if you're not familiar with that, basically you come along on your water line and you put a meter base in the ground, like your water meter comes in. And it's this fitting that they make a plastic piece that goes on the end of your water hose, and you just click it down in there and water starts flowing. So
It is super quick.
it is super quick. So I take a hose and hook that up to a float valve on a water tank, and it fills up the water tank as needed as they drink it down. Also, I put in 1, 2, 3, 4 drinking posts, which are essentially like a water fountain for cattle. It's a big 8-inch piece of, I mean, it's basically an 8-inch piece of PVC. The whole thing is a manufactured unit, but it's got a little paddle on it and a little bowl in it, and the cows learn to come up and they stick their nose in it and press that paddle down, and the bowl fills up with water. The benefit to the drinking post is that it works on the same principle as like a freeze-proof hydrant. It's deep enough in the ground, and when the cows finish drinking, it drains out and drains into you put gravel or 2-inch rock in the bottom of it, and the water drains down, so you don't have to winterize it, and you can use it all year long.
And they've been great.
Yeah, they learned to use it in about 3 or 4 days.
And for the people that ask the question, you might want to say that they do have training. They have a training piece that trains the cattle.
Yeah, there's a training paddle that's bigger and easier to push that you leave in there. They say leave it in there for 2 weeks, but
You didn't have to at all.
after 3 or 4 days, I switched out to the other one and haven't had a problem since. I still use the quick connect and the float valve on a water trough if I'm in a section of the field where it's not super easy to route them to the drinking post. But as I said, we put in 8 of those, so they're in most corners of the field. So we've got that 20-acre field covered real nicely. And then in our other fields, we have the Ritchie type. You've seen them, the red and yellow cattle waterers. So I just set up a lane to where they can always get back to that water no matter where we are, all the way around. But it's an expensive proposition, but in the long run, it's well worth it, and it's a great investment in your operation and your property.
And we've used it for watering the chickens.
Oh yeah, and
it's been great.
Yeah, like when I go out, when I would go out to water the broilers, I would pull up to one of those quick connects with the Ranger, just take the hose, put it in the 50-gallon drum, click the quick connect in, and fill it up, and then off I go to water the chickens.
And when they were close enough, you could just water straight from the quick connect.
Yeah.
So that does help tremendously.
Yeah. So there, hope that answers the question adequately.
Right. And we'll be getting to the other questions as we go along in the series.
Yes, we will.
One other question was about, we still have some questions, and completely understand, because there's a lot of mislabeling or just not clearly labeling.
Well, let me address that. I saw started to watch an interview with Will Harris this week, who is the head / owner / guy at White Oak Pastures in Bluffton, Georgia, and he's one of the main gurus of regenerative agriculture and local meat and that whole movement, and really has a lot of great things to say. But this interview reminded me about things that we think and see and believe. And, there's a lot of, as Allison started to say, there's a lot of purposely vague slash misleading slash false labeling out there. And I'm not going to talk about whether grass finished is better than grain finished, or whether feedlot beef is good, or I'm not going to talk about any of that. Everybody can make up their own mind and do their own research on that. I'm just talking about, you need to know what these words mean and what these labels mean. For instance, one of the things I've been seeing a lot lately is grass-fed slash finished. It doesn't say grass-fed, grass-finished. It says grass-fed slash finished. To me, that would, to the uneducated, that would mean grass-fed, grass-finished. It's my understanding that it does not mean that.
Right.
It's just grain finished.
Right.
Typical, as if they were saying grass-fed, grain finished. That's what that means. But it seems like kind of a way to not really tell the whole story and be a little bit vague, so that anybody, if somebody's not really doing their due diligence, if you're looking at buying from somebody local, whoever that is, I'm not saying you have to buy from us, and a lot of people watch these videos that don't live near us. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Call up the farmer and ask, do you feed grain? What does this mean? What does your labeling mean? And we don't have anything to hide. We want to be completely honest and upfront. And if you are looking, and we've had people that are looking for.
I had a phone call just today.
Well, we've had people before that are not interested in grass finished beef.
Right.
And that's fine. But we tell them that that's what we do, and if they don't want to buy from us, that's totally their decision. But if you call up somebody and they are, evasive, or I feel like if somebody doesn't give you a straight answer, or doesn't give you a clear answer to your question, then you probably ought to look somewhere else. And that's another term that's come on that sort of speaks to that whole thing. It's called greenwashing, and there's a lot of that going on in the internet world, in the ship to your door world. There's not a lot of oversight. There's not a lot of. I mean, some of these bigger conglomerate shipping places, I think there's a handful of them that do tell you, okay, well, this was pasture raised, or this was whatever and whatnot. But there's plenty of them that just, use generic terms and don't really tell you, who raised it, where it was raised, that kind of thing. So I guess what I'm really saying is, it's easy to want something to be true and that cause you to overlook the actual facts. Just research, and as I said, don't be afraid to call the farmer and ask questions, because we welcome questions, and even if it costs us a sale, we're going to answer truthfully. And we try to be, we feel like you, the customer, are putting your faith in us to buy food from us. So we're going to do our best to be transparent in what we do and answer your questions completely, so that I mean, we're proud of what we do. We we want you to know what we do and what it eats and where it lives and all that kind of thing. So anyway, that just had come up this week, and so I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about that. Is there anything you would like to add that I left out?
No, what I tell everyone, I had this conversation this morning. Know where your food comes from, and you should be asking the farmer, because the farmer needs to know exactly what's going on with his or her animal.
Well, and even if you, even if you don't care, I mean, even if you are completely and totally okay with eating McDonald's 3 times a day, you at least ought to know where
what's
it
in your
comes from
food
and what's in it and what you're eating.
Right. As you know, I am quite passionate about nutrition and about health and health care, and so I do a lot of research and a lot of education, a lot of continuing education. I have many continuing education hours each year on this topic, on food and on nutrition and on anti-inflammatory versus pro-inflammatory diets and why that's important. And I'm happy to have that conversation all day long with anybody, and I can do as deep a dive as you want to go. And it's okay if you don't want that. But
Well, yeah,
you
if you
need to
don't,
know, like you said, if you're eating McDonald's, that's awesome. You do you. That's awesome. You still need to know what's in that food so that you are not surprised down the road. You know, people say that you can either pay for your food when you're buying it, or you can pay for your pharmaceuticals when you're buying them. It's up to you. It's totally up to you, and it's your decision. We live in America, so it's your decision. You can do whatever you want.
Lynn,
This may be it.
come on.
I'm trying.
The winds of change are blowing.
All right, so is that it?
I don't know. Anything fun we need to leave them with other than just this?
Well, if they want a really, really, really great recipe for an apple pie, it's July the 4th weekend.
Is it on the blog?
No, it's on it for those who are on our email list.
Yeah, check your spam folder.
Well, or let us know, and you can get in on the apple pie recipe.
Absolutely. Bales Farms TN, like Tennessee.com. Lots of fun stuff on there.
Yes.
Okay, well, I guess maybe that's it.
That's
Because we've
it.
kind of got our hands full here.
Yes. Okay.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
Happy 4th of July, everybody. Have a great weekend. Stay safe and keep those questions coming. And we will talk to you next time.
See you soon.
As Allison makes a dramatic exit off stage right. See y'all.